comics where your love is shared the same. For the stories where the hero saves the girl somehow. Where look no further, friends, the adventure never ends. We will save the world somehow. It's Sunspots Comics now.
This episode of the Sunspots Comics Podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Pop-Up Tea. Check out their huge, humongous, ginormical selection of nerdy fun t-shirts at popuptea.com. They have a shirt for every nerdy thing you could possibly think of. I'm serious. Use the promotional code SUNSPOTSCOMICS and you'll get 25% off of any shirt order on popuptea.com. Even the clearance stuff, which is already so low in price. But go and check them out, and thank you to our sponsor, Pop-Up Tea. Go check them out at popuptea.com. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunspots Comics Podcast. I'm Chris Latore. Thank you so much for joining us here. It's been a little while. We're back. It's been about 7 months. Where have I been? I went back to school. Not kind of. I went back to school. I'm still working at Disney. And, the world's been a little banana pants. Working on my comic book Zombie Destroyers pretty hard. Trying to do the coloring myself. So still working on that. But I hope you're doing well. I hope your family and loved ones are all safe and happy in these trying times. And I wanted to give a shout out and a thank you quickly to all those followers of Sunspots Comics, the people that have emailed me. Thank you. I've read your emails. I appreciate you, writing in and asking me what's going on and when's the next podcast. And also for the folks that have donated, especially Danny recently, who donated to sunspotscomics.com/support. Thank you, Danny, for hitting that tip jar. It, quote unquote, keeps the lights on, as they say. So just glad to be back, and I'm going to jump in here really quick and give you some comic book recommendations, talk about some comic book movies, some comic book TV shows, just, of course, all things comic booky and books. So, what have I been watching? Right off the bat, Suicide Squad Part 2. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to watch it again. I kind of watched it a little too late, honestly, but some initial thoughts. Don't worry, no spoilers. Brutally violent, bloody, uncomfortably hysterical at certain moments. Very, very true to some of the source material of Suicide Squads, and they also went some deep dives into some C-D list characters, and I just had a blast with it. It was a ton of fun, way better than the first one in my opinion. And I'm going to watch it again, and I'll give a kind of a more thorough review to Suicide Squad coming up, Part 2. So really, really super, just happily enjoyed that. Some stuff that's coming soon in the area of comic book movies that I'm excited to watch is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It's out. It's September 3rd. It's not on a streaming platform. I'm not really doing the theaters yet, but I may soon, and I badly want to see that. And just to the rest of the year, by the way, you've got Venom, Let There Be Carnage, September 24th. You've got The Eternals, November 5th. And closing out the year with Spider-Man 3 on December 17th. So that's just how the year will look in the area of comic book movies. And also on comic book television, I finished Invincible on Amazon. I could not recommend that any highly. It's just all the accolades. Invincible. Watch it on Amazon. I even got my 78-year-old dad to watch it, and so far he's enjoying it. Invincible, Amazon, watch it. All the thumbs up, all the fingers in the air, whatever, everything crossed. Invincible on Amazon. The second comic book TV show that I've been really enjoying, I've been watching it with my wife Patsy, is Superman and Lois. We've just been thoroughly enjoying that. We need more in our life immediately. And we like some of the areas they've gone into, and the family dynamic and the characters involved, and all the twisty, weird, multiversey things that are happening. It's just been a ton of fun. Superman and Lois. I recommend watching it on the C-Dub. And The Walking Dead on the new Amazon Plus. Everything's going Plus now. We're still going strong with the Daryl and the Carol and the. There's no Rick or Michonne. It's weird. It's a little all over the place, but it's still a ton of fun. The last episode in particular was extremely action-packed and just fun. and just all over the place. And, Negan versus Maggie. It's just been, we're still in there, The Walking Dead. I can't believe it. 27 years later or whatever it is, it's just been going for a long time. But we're thoroughly enjoying those 3 comic book TV shows. And I'm going to jump right in. This, of course, is the spoiler alert to the comics. I've been reading tons of new comics. I've only got 2 brand new comics that I recommend this week that I read for the new comic book day, August 25th. That's so 2 comics I'm going to recommend to you for new comic book day, August 25th. And the first one is Echolands, issue number 1. And Echolands is maybe one of my favorite artists of all time, J.H. Williams III. And also I think he's on the writing as well. And it's with Hayden Blackman and colors by Dave Stewart, the master colorist. And this is even presented in a little unique format. It's basically presented in your traditional comic book size, but turned horizontally. That's the best way to describe it. So it's in like a widescreen platform. And this is some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen. It kind of has this is a unique take on Red Riding Hood, Little Red Riding Hood, sort of. But each page of this, J.H. Williams, the third, look up his work on Batwoman. Just gorgeous. It was, of course, the inspiration for the CW TV show from the look of the suit and other storyline plot things. But the art on that J.H. Williams III did on Batwoman is just some of my absolute favorite art of all time. But he does very strange things with paneling. He quite often just lives in this no panel. Just so many things to look at. Your eyes are just geeking out and going bananas, and you don't really know where to look. I mean, there's a page on issue number 1 of Echolands that I'm talking about on page 2, that is they're sprinkling in black and white characters in this large group setting where Red Riding Hood is kind of running through and running away from someone. Right at the wharf in San Francisco. So he likes to throw in sort of accurate buildings and landmarks, and you can see the skyline looks very familiar. But it's just a twisted world. It's this odd sort of fairy tale world, and she's initially this character is trying to escape what looks like the Gestapo, and she literally runs into her behemoth of a best friend, which I think his name is like F-O-R? I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. But anyway, she has sort of an artifact she's looking at maybe selling on this black market, but the Gestapo they definitely look kind of like the Hitler's Reich regime are chasing her, but there's a magic element. And on page 3, heads are just exploding in this very, very graphic way. Just disgusting. So, warning, not for the faint of heart. But I love the design of this villain that's chasing Little Red Riding Hood. It's like this porcelain mask and this black hood. And when she takes the hood off, it's like these grotesque sort of tendrils and snake vines and kind of Swamp Thing-ish. But just very cool design and unique. And this was very short, went very fast. I realized... I was like, what's it? Because I think in this format, there's like 16 full pages, but the art will delight your eyeballs. It will leave you wanting more, and you will go, I need to go look at more J.H. Williams III stuff is what's going to happen to you. So check out Echolands issue number 1. It's a beauty, and you will not be disappointed. Trust me, it's from Image Comics, by the way. So check it out, and I can't wait till the next one comes out of this just to look at it. And it's one you have to spend some time on, such hyper detail. There's even just sort of like an opening at the beginning that gives you a short paragraph, but almost in like poem form of what's happened in this world and why it's this way. But you'll have to kind of digest it a few times to even kind of grasp what's happening there. But Echolands issue number 1, I recommend it. Check it out. It's delicious. And the second brand new comic book that just came out August 25th, Wednesday, August 25th, new comic book day, one of my favorite days, is Superman 78, issue number 1 of 6 from DC Comics. And man, this was just an absolute delight. There is just a beautiful dedication to Richard Donner, who passed away recently, who was the director and I believe writer and producer of the original Superman movies. And it's just a beautiful dedication to Richard Donner. So, condolences to his family and friends and loved one. Richard Donner will be missed. What an icon. Which is just a movie powerhouse. This movie is rewatchable. It holds up. Yes, it's sometimes a little hokey, but man, it's still on my top 5 comic book movies of all time. But I put the original Superman soundtrack on when I listen to this, which I highly recommend you do. It sort of goes back to Krypton and shows the Jor-El and Lara there as Krypton is exploding. I like that the art, they didn't go for actual likeness of the characters. They just sort of did their own thing. But there is just a hint, just a little drizzle of the characters and the actors playing those particular characters. You can recognize, Marlon Brando a smidge and Christopher Reeve. You could just see the essence there. But as Krypton's exploding, it shows that Brainiac is very nearby. His ship is just hit with Kryptonian debris and kryptonite, and that's the thrust of this series, which just dives right back into almost exactly as where maybe Superman 2 it finishes, and it takes off from there. And it's just the level of nostalgia in this is, yes, level 10, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, throw on the Superman John Williams soundtrack and read this episode so quickly. I just love the little nod where Clark and Lois are on the street of New York, and it's a busy hustle and bustle day, and Lois wants a hot dog. And of course, there's a purse snatcher on the side, and she's looking for money in her purse. And he just kind of quickly uses a little heat vision on the purse snatcher's foot, causing his foot to go on fire. And he has a secret idea. And nobody around notices, of course, because everybody's trying to get to their work, get to their Wall Street, etc. Everyone's wearing suits. It's just this wonderful piece of nostalgia. If you enjoyed the original Superman movies with Christopher Reeve at all, rest in peace. Get this immediately, read it, and enjoy it, and dive right in. And I love the action sequences of this, where Brainiac sends a brainy bot to just wreak havoc. Doesn't seem like he's there, but just for kind of just to do an assessment of the planet, and Kryptonian is here, and just blasting everything with pink lasers. I just love it. The contrast in colors is wonderful. And they hit the iconic moments, from Reeves in the alley opening the shirt, and just that exploding onto the page on this giant splash page with the original movie Superman symbol, which is near and dear to my heart and just gives me those goosebumps. So Superman 78, issue number 1, I'm in. I want more of it. Only a 6-issue miniseries, so get it immediately. Hats off to the team. You've got Vendetti writing it, and Torres on art, and Jordi Belair on colors. You just got a top-notch team here. Hats off to all of them. I particularly love Wilfredo Torres's, again, use of the characterization, but not likeness like the actors. Just well done. And the coloring, Jordi Belair, my goodness. Dave Stewart, Jordi Belair, those top two colorists in the biz, doing it right as always. So it's just absolutely wonderful. And so those are the 2 brand new Comic Book Day recommendations for August 25th that I recommend you read. So you definitely got to go and read those immediately. But I wanted to give you 2 other recommendations. These are some comics, 2 comics that I've been reading every month when they come out. They've been top picks for me. I am super excited to read these, which it still amazes me that happens after all these years. But I heavily look forward to Serial. This is from Abstract Studio. This is by Terry Moore, written and drawn by Terry Moore. I highly recommend it. It's tough to encapsulate and give you a snapshot, an elevator pitch of what Serial is, but there is this child that has a demon trapped in her, and she lives on Earth, and she dispatches bad people. And a friend of hers, which she explains she only has 2 friends on the planet, one of her friends is killed by a serial killer. and she wants to find out and she's following the trail and the breadcrumbs from this other serial killer woman that is killing people that are very close to her, that have done her wrong, that she is just taking out her vengeance and furious anger at. And so it's like this demon child is a serial killer in her own way. As a matter of fact, in page 5 or 6 here, she's torturing and murdering a pedophile because she has hard evidence. And also this pedophile kills puppies and was torturing a dog. So she has this code, and she's trying to find this serial killer who seems to also have a code, seems to also be very personal. I love that duality, and it's just a mystery, and it's an over-the-top, violent, very adult story. Terry Moore does this great job of where he really develops these interesting characters, lets them breathe, lets them have moments to sort of just to be there and to sort of flesh out this world that is Serial. So I highly recommend it. It's on issue 6. Read Serial. It's so good. Not the podcast. Don't listen to that. It's fine if you want to. But the second comic book I want to recommend is Geiger. Geiger's from Image Comics and Mad Ghost. It's on issue number 5, which just came out like a week or two ago. It's written by Jeff Johns, and it's art by Gary Frank. Yes, Gary Frank. You've got to check this out. And they've created this character that it's post-apocalyptic. There's a nuclear holocaust, and just before this nuclear bomb, the nuclear bombs go off, this man takes some experimental cancer medicine, and so it affects him in a weird way. He is basically radiating glowing green energy. He looks like a kind of a Ghost Rider look, where he's glowing bright green, and his skull is what you can see through the glowing green, and the hood that he wears, this sort of tattered cape as well. And he carries these cool, made of boron, Eskrima sticks, and they have the nuclear symbol on the top of them. And he dispatches his enemies with it, so it's just kind of cool, kind of Nightwing-esque Eskrima sticks. But the design, the look of the character is very interesting. And he also has a 2-headed wolf that is his pet, which I think he named Frank, which, is funny in itself. And the crux of the story is that he puts his family into a bunker to save them during the nuclear holocaust, and protects the door because there are people that have mutated, and of course the world is just trying to eat itself, and people are trying to survive in the most violent ways possible. It's this kind of Mad Max world that he's created as well. So it's just a fun world to live in, and a cool designed character that is Geiger, and he's trying to save some kids in this latest issue number 5. So he's got it's that heroic element as well, which I'm looking for, and I'm looking for hope. And you get that from Geiger. He is doing his best to help people and children and folks he comes across that feel that they're innocents and that they need help. And there's these factions of people. There's this strange, sort of the arch nemesis is, I think it's kind of like Las Vegas, and it's like the king of Las Vegas. It very much reminds me of Joffrey from the Game of Thrones series. It's kind of seems like a late teen or early 20s skinny kid that rules Vegas and wants to sort of take over the world and take Geiger out. And so they definitely have this back and forth. So very interesting. Those are 2 that are ongoing. I hope they come out next week. I always look forward to them. But that's Serial and Geiger. Check them both out. You will be seriously happy. So that's kind of wrapping it up. It's going to be a short and sweet podcast as I gear back up and get back into things. Something that's coming up very soon. My co-host Michael Norris is coming back on probably the next podcast, 259, I believe. We're going to go back and read Invincible, volume number 1. Since, I don't think he's watched the show, but since I love the show, and Invincible's 15 years old now, I wanted to go back and read volume 1, so I'm forcing Michael Norris to watch it. He is not the biggest fan of Kirkman's work, but I'm forcing him to read Invincible volume 1. So my advice is read it, and or before you listen to the next podcast, because we go into a deep dive and review and kind of go almost page by page of Invincible Volume 1. You can see in the feed, there's been a bunch of podcasts with my co-host Michael Norris where we've done this. We kind of take classic or old stuff or things we just haven't read, and usually read the first volume of it on Comixology and do sort of a review of it. Not a sort of, just a deep dive review. So check that out. That's coming very soon. We'll be reviewing Invincible Volume 1. You should definitely read it. And hey, thanks for listening. I totally appreciate your time. Thanks for coming back in. Thanks for tuning in. Please support Sunspots Comics. Subscribe to us at everything at Sunspots Comics, and throw a couple of shekels in the tip jar at sunspotscomics.com/support. So it's been wonderful doing this. I've missed it, and more to come, guys. So tune in soon, and of course, to be continued.
If you're looking for a place where your love is shared the same, for the stories where the hero saves the girl somehow, where look no further, friends, the adventure never ends. We will save the world somehow. It's Sunspots Comics now.